Hello everyone, my name is Friedman. I live in Mobile, Alabama. In a few moments I'm going to show you some video pictures of miniature dollhouses that I built for my granddaughters. But first I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got started in this delightful and rewarding hobby. I was in the retail clothing business, spent 55 years of my life trying to make a living at it, which I think I did pretty good. However, my first love was woodworking, and I would rather have been in the woodworking business, but I don't think I would have made a good living at it. As a hobby, it's quite enjoyable. I retired from the retail clothing business about 1977, and I had plenty of time on my hands. Played golf, traveled with my wife Sarah, did a little gardening, and oh yes, a little woodworking. On one of my visits to Atlanta, my daughter-in-law Lynn asked me why I don't build a dollhouse for my granddaughter Rachel. I thought that was a terrific idea, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if I could make her a dollhouse exactly like the home she lived in? On a subsequent trip, I came back and took about, I guess at least 100 pictures of her home, the inside, the outside, the light fixtures, the kitchen cabinets, every little detail that I could take a snapshot of, brought it back to Mobile, finally went to work. It took me about 14 months to complete this first dollhouse because I wouldn't compromise. Everything had to be exactly as her house, down to the position of the light fixtures. The kitchen cabinets had to be exactly like hers, and I did a lot of improvising, and when we go to the dollhouse, I'll point out all the little features that were incorporated into this house. And we even went so far as to get my wife Sarah to needlepoint the exact pattern of the rugs. Pearl Brook helped with the curtains and drapes, bedspreads, and I think you will find this to be quite an undertaking. This is a replica of Rachel's home in Atlanta, Georgia. She lives at 836 Myrtle Street Northeast. The original home was built about 1911, and this model is a 1 inch to the foot scale of the actual home. And one of the things that perplexed me was that this home only had 3 piers, and there was one missing here. And I asked my daughter-in-law, what happened to the pier that was here? She said, oh, there never was a pier there. That's the way the homes were built. That was the type of architecture. And I looked around, and that's the way they were, because there were 2 or 3 other homes that also had a pier missing. Well, of course, if I'm going to make a replica, it all had to be just like that home, and that's why we only have 3 piers instead of 4. Everything you see on the face of this house is exactly like the home that Rachel lived in, except I had to cut down on some of the dimensions of the porch. Otherwise, the house would have been entirely too long, and even though we have all of the features, some of the dimensions were changed to make it convenient for this purpose. One of the other difficulties I had was, since there is stone at the bottom of the foundation of this home, I had no way of duplicating that, so I actually just engraved in the wood some grooves and then colored the plywood in various colors so that it would simulate granite. The entire front of Rachel's home is in granite. Another thing was the screen in the porch is actual screening and I didn't bother to try to scale that down any. The home, as you can see, one of the most difficult things about making a dollhouse is how do you show the rooms inside. And to make it convenient, I've made some swinging doors on the sides of the house. And as you can see, it gives us a way to see inside. We've moved around to this side of the house so you can see the architecture of the house. And while we're looking at this, I particularly want you to notice that this is actual clapboard siding and the same as they have on the original house. Also, we have asphalt shingles made to scale, and one of the most difficult parts of showing the interior of the rooms in a dollhouse is if you're going to have architecture on the outside, how are you going to show it? Well, I have incorporated hinges here where this whole portion will swing open. Likewise, on the other side we have a hinge and this part will swing open. So the entire interior of the home can be viewed. After a while, I noticed that it was just getting to be too much of a problem, because even though the doors swing open, part of the house swings open for viewing, they are in the way, and it is not the best means of showing the rooms. Therefore, I finally decided to take the entire side of the house off and leave it off, and even though we sacrifice all this architecture, it makes it much more convenient for showing. I'm now going to try to remove these portions so that you can see what the inside of the house is. Normally they would swing open in this manner, and this one would do so also. But as I said, I've taken them down completely, and now we will see what the We are now viewing the living area of the home, and as you can see, it is two areas separated by a circular divider. We have a living room and a dining area. And everything you see here is exactly as you would see it if you were sitting in their home. Notice the aquarium in the front of the living area. This originally was in the entrance hall where the piano is, but since they bought a piano, we had to, and they placed it where it is now, we had to move the aquarium into this further corner. Incidentally, the aquarium was made from an inverted butter dish. Looking at the bookcase now, we see all of the books as you would find in their home, but I would like to point out that these are not real books. What I have done here is cut out advertisements from magazines of the various books, mounted them on a piece of wood, and then inserted it in the shelf. I'm going to take one of them out now so you can see how this was done. Just a piece of wood with the little magazines glued to it, and I think it worked out pretty good for the purpose to which it was intended. I would now like to show you the rug on the floor. This is an actual needlepoint pattern that they had in their home, and Sarah duplicated that. Also, I would like to point out the inlaid floor, and this also is identical to the floor in their home. We are now going to go into the dining room area. They have a light fixture that I just could not find to buy, so I had to make it. But the only way I could do that, I took two different size medicine bottles, cut off the bottoms, glued them together, and made this light fixture, which is a very close replica of the one in their dining room. What we're looking at now are the kitchen cabinets, and I tried as much as I could to duplicate exactly what they had in their home. One of the things I don't think I would repeat today is the fact that I made it out of balsa wood, which was much too soft to hold the hinges. However, that's how we learn, and when I have to do things now, I usually use basswood. Notice the little replica of the telephone and the telephone book. The little French doors that we have here actually open, and they are a duplicate of the French doors that we have going out into the front porch. The door to the powder room is off to the right. Notice the lights embedded in the ceiling. These are actually wired up into the wood of the ceiling, as they are recessed lights exactly like you will find in their home, and the position of each light is exactly as you would find in the home. Incidentally, the house is entirely electrified with 12-volt transformers, and all of the electrification is fused so that if there was any problem, it would blow the fuse instead of injuring the wiring. We're on the driveway side of the house again, and this is the back door that leads into the kitchen. And as you can see, in order to show the kitchen, it was necessary to hinge the door, and we're going to go inside now and see what we have inside the kitchen. Notice that it was necessary to mount all the cabinets on that wall because that's where they are. However, as I swung the door open, all the kitchen cabinets swung open with it. That's one of the things that we find it necessary to do in order to show the interior of the homes. The cabinets, as I mentioned before, are built out of balsa wood, but one of the features of the cabinet is it has formica tops, and this is a black formica top that is identical to the one in the home. The stove that you see on the side is a stainless steel stove that's handmade, and I'm going to open up the stove now to show you that we have some biscuits that are baking. Oh, they're just about ready. And we also have a little Velcro here that holds this door closed. Also notice the stainless steel stove. The controls are little dress snaps, and the burners are made of washers. In building dollhouses, anything that can be improvised to solve a duplication is highly recommended, because there are many things that cannot be bought, and it'll be up to your own ingenuity to substitute something that will take its place. Also notice that we have a little scale model toaster. It looks like the bread has popped out. We have a mix master, and further back in the kitchen I see there's a beautiful cake on the countertop, and then beyond that we have a stainless steel sink. And look what we have in the background. We have two Coca-Cola bottles in miniature scale, which the reason we are showing the Coca-Cola bottles is my son Murray, Rachel's daddy, works for the Coca-Cola company, so it's highly recommended that we show this. Look at the refrigerator. This is an exact duplicate of the refrigerator in their home, with the ice maker to the left, and we have our refrigerator compartment that's completely built around it. The floor is of a vinyl, and the whole kitchen is lighted with a skylight that may be seen from the top roof. I'm going to point that out. That's right up here. Hanging from the bottom of the skylight, Lynn had some clay flower pots, and of course I had to have clay flower pots too, and we'll try to show you those in just a moment. All right? Now, coming from the kitchen, you'll notice that door that I showed you before that goes into the powder room. Actually, this is the other side of that circular divider that separates the living room from the dining room. Normally, there would be a wall that would divide the workshop room that you see in the front here from the powder room. But if we had a wall there, you wouldn't be able to see the powder room, so this is one of the things that we have to make allowances for when we build dollhouses, is we have to show what's behind walls, so we leave the walls out entirely. While we're looking in the workshop room, I want to point out that the transformers that regulate the electricity in the entire house were hidden behind the work table. Now I'm going to pull this away, and we can see two transformers with all the wiring and all the fuses and everything else in there. This is just one of the places that was selected for these transformers, but if I didn't put it there, it could have been put in 2 or 3 other places, but this seemed to be very convenient. Now I'm going to open up this door, this part of the house, and we go into a little office room. The filing cabinets were all handmade because at that time I couldn't find any that I could buy. Now we also see the front entrance to the house and the staircase that leads up into the second floor bedrooms and halls. Directly above the staircase is a little bathroom, and just to the left of that I will show you the master bedroom. Now we're looking in the master bedroom, which leads into the hallway and then down the staircase that I previously showed you. Notice the shower curtain in the bathtub. This was originally a rain bonnet of Sarah's that I cut up because at that time I also couldn't find a shower curtain that would fit properly. Notice also the doors are all unpainted. These were originally painted doors that my daughter-in-law Lynn had someone scrape off and left unfinished. That's the way she wanted them, and that's the way the dollhouse has them. The needlepoint pictures on the wall were made by Sarah, also the pillows on the bed. pearl made the curtains. And also notice the light fixtures above the curtains. These are identical duplicates of the ones in the room, and they were all handmade. They swivel 360 degrees in all directions. We're now back on this side of the house again, and we're going to show you the upstairs of this side. As we come up the staircase and into a small hall, we come into the center play area where the children have plenty of room to play with their toys, and this area can be left messed up as it doesn't interfere with the rest of the house. Also, please note in the back of the play area there are accordion doors, swing back doors that hide the washer and dryer, which normally would be downstairs or in a basement or in a back room. But Lynn decided that the washer and dryer was much more convenient for her, since when she pulled all the linens off the bed and has all the dirty clothes, she can take care of it right there instead of going up and down with the laundry. On either side of the play area there is a bedroom for the children, and it makes it very convenient in this arrangement. This was my first experience in building a dollhouse, and I found that among my most difficult problems was the fact that I was trying to duplicate everything in Rachel's house. I wouldn't compromise, which made it very difficult. Also, most of the things that I wanted I couldn't buy in the dollhouse shops because they weren't even available. And of course, this was my first experience, which made it more difficult. When I completed the house, I placed the house on the lawn and took a picture of it, and this is the picture that you see of the completed house. Needless to say, I was very happy with the way it came out, and Rachel and her family and our family are thoroughly enjoying it, and we enjoy showing it to others.